Wish is the most recent Disney movie, and it also celebrates the 100-year anniversary of Walt Disney Studios, a film that took 100 years in the making, only to make the arguably dumbest Disney movie ever. Walt Disney must be rolling on his grave due to how stupid and dumb this movie is. So with that being said, let's talk about it. So the issues with the story begin around the 20-minute mark, after a song about how King Magnifico protects everybody's wishes, and Asha finds the wish of her grandfather, who just turned 100 years old. She asks the king to make her grandfather's wish come true, but Magnifico starts explaining why not all wishes can be granted, and how he makes her memories of those wishes he deems to be bad for the kingdom disappear. First of all, it doesn't make any sense to let the entire population know that people will forget about their wish once they willingly give it to the king.
You really forget your wish once you give it? You forget without regret.
Giving your wish to him, knowing that he will forget it, while the chance of it being granted is basically 1 in a million, does not sound reasonable in any single way. Like this one guy who just wants to have a loving family. Why would he give his wish to him and have his memory of it wiped out when there's a 99% of possibility that the king will never grant it? The movie shows how literally some people might turn 100 years old without ever seeing their wish coming true. Also, if the king is scared of wishes causing huge troubles to the kingdom in the future, then wouldn't the fact that people give away their wishes only for 99% of them to never be granted make the population be more prone to galvanize for knowing that their wishes will most likely never be granted, while they also will never remember what their wishes were about? Wouldn't that make people eventually revolt against the king because of that? Also, shouldn't the fact that people forget their wishes the second they give them to the king make people scared and not willing to give them to the king over the fear of never remembering them again and over the certainty of never seeing them coming true? Plus, if you're gonna forget your wish the moment you give it to the king, then how could you be excited over your wish being granted if you don't even remember what it was to begin with? Plus, it also makes no sense for the king to open up to Asha and let her know all those secrets about wish granting before deciding if he will take her as his apprentice or not. If so many wishes might be potentially harmful to be known by the people, and taking care of wishes and granting them is such a delicate, intricate thing to do for the sake of an entire nation, to the point it's a mystery to its own people, then why let Asha, of all people, know about all of that when she proves to be too emotional, too naive, and not mature enough to understand why Magnifico does what he does to all those wishes? Obviously, this movie makes everyone in Rosas only have good and innocent wishes in order to uphold our protagonists and make the king look selfish and bad in comparison, when actually deep down, the king is kind of right. What if someone has a bad and harmful wish? What if someone makes a wish while in a moment of emotional turmoil that affects everyone around him? What if that woman were to lose control while flying and got her severely injured or even got herself killed? There are countless of possibilities here, and most of them show how Magnifico is more reasonable for carefully selecting which wishes to grant, instead of Asha's ideas of giving everyone everything they want. According to Disney, King Magnifico is supposed to be a return to, and I quote, traditional villains from old Disney movies. And Disney completely failed in doing so. Basically, everything Magnifico does is for the sake of protecting his kingdom from being destroyed, just like his family got destroyed by invaders. And we can see how this is his chief motivation as a king throughout the movie, which makes him look like a reasonable man who worries about the well-being of his people above everything else. And because of that, Disney eventually realizes that they've written themselves into a corner by inadvertently making their villain a sympathetic character. And it's obvious how desperate Disney was to fix that and make him look irredeemably bad, especially throughout the songs that are sung later on in the movie.
Magnifico is not the man he claims to be.
Basically, Magnifico only starts acting villainous once he harnesses the power of this dark, evil book. But before that, he was actually a reasonable man. He helped people who were homeless and financially struggling. For most of this movie, he truly wanted to keep his kingdom and people safe.
He loves one thing more than himself, his pride.
We never literally hear him say that he's doing all this to protect his power or his position as king. He always says it's all for the sake of Rosas.
You see, I founded this kingdom so there would be a place where everyone is safe. Everything I do is to make sure that never happens again.
There is a reason why people liked him, and despite all that, he still had to deal with people who only looked at him like he was some sort of bread and circus for public entertainment because of his powers.
Is that all you can think about? A wish-granting ceremony?
And because Magnifico has always protected them from all harm, they can't appreciate the good, peaceful life he has given them, because they don't know what it feels like to be in pain and to lose everything, just like Magnifico does. Plus, where was this dumb start to help Magnifico when he was just an orphan kid whose parents got killed and his home got destroyed by invaders? Thanks, Disney, I hate it. I know Magnifico eventually starts doing horrible things, by crushing wishes and absorbing them as means to increase his powers. But it's clear how Magnifico becomes a villain just for the sake of following the traditional old formula of having a villain for the sake of it. Because for most of this movie, Magnifico was a decent ruler only to become a villain in the last 30 minutes of this movie in the most rushed, senseless way ever.
Staff, no spell can bind his magic.
And no one can bring him back from this. Embrace forbidden magic just once, and you commit to it for eternity.
Disney was so desperate to write Magnifico as an apologetic villain, only to end up writing a reasonable and based character for most of this movie and try to make him look irredeemably bad by simply reading a book towards the end of the film. Because Magnifico spent his entire life learning and studying magic, carefully choosing which wishes to grant and safekeeping them for the sake of protecting his beloved kingdom, preventing all sorts of evil and bad things from happening to it. But all it took was one girl to show how this man with a tragic backstory, who studied sorcery in order to protect his kingdom, was deep down a greedy and selfish man.
Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
And to make things even worse, Magnifico is basically defeated by people wishing and singing. This is the movie that is supposed to celebrate 100 years of Walt Disney Studios, everybody. Asha is arguably the most annoying Disney protagonist so far, and the fact that she, along with the star, is the source of things getting out of hand doesn't do her any favors either. Basically, Asha struggles with the dorkable issue. She's just so brave and pure, but she's also cute and clumsy and socially awkward and funny. What a well-written, totally relatable female lead, unlike the older Disney ones you were told that had no personality or whatsoever.
Wrong. That is...
The thing is, the adorable character has been a thing for Disney female leads ever since Tangled back in 2010, with very few exceptions. Maybe being cute and clumsy wouldn't be a problem had it not been the fact that almost all Disney female protagonists in the past 10 years have been almost exactly the same, while Disney continues to advertise those characters as if they were something never seen before, and it's really getting old. And when it comes to Asha, being dumb and annoying is all her character seems to offer apparently. Thanks Disney, I hate it. The animation style gets worse the more I look at it. It looks unfinished, it looks ugly, and it looks weird. You either make a hand-drawn 2D animation like the old days or just a 3D regular animation, but you do not do whatever it is Disney did with this movie. The secondary characters suck. They are dumb, boring, useless, and there are so many of them, I personally believe it's almost impossible to remember more than 2 of them. Not even to mention that their design is a disaster. This character's main purpose seems to be to deliver sassy and unfunny jokes that sound straight out of a Marvel movie. And I'm not even sure if the names of these 2 characters here were mentioned even once. And Valentino sucks and his voice acting was bad. The songs in this movie suck. Usually you know the songs were great when they stick to your head and you find yourself humming them every now and then after the movie. But in this case, I just couldn't wait for them to be over, whether because they were annoying the heck out of me, or because I was being reminded of other Disney songs that did a far better job than Wish, like the song What We Know Now. If I wanted to listen to a great song of our heroes getting ready to face the villain, then I would listen to Ready As I'll Ever Be from the show Tangled the series instead, and not this boring song. All Wish manages to do is to remind me of how many times Disney succeeded in making a far better movie than this one. This movie every now and then tries to make references and show Easter eggs from other Disney movies. We see Bambi, the king becomes the mirror on the wall from Snow White, the annoying goat dreams of Zootopia, and Asha becomes the fairy godmother, and it sucks. This is simply trying to make this movie look as relevant as possible by binding all Disney classic movies together. But those classic movies only show how mediocre and pathetic Wish is in comparison to how great the older Disney movies were. And this multiverse thing freaking sucks. Marvel did it before and it sucked too, and Disney trying to do the same thing doesn't make things any better. And that's pretty much it about this movie. For quite some time, a lot of people, me included, longed for original Disney animated movies just like in the past, especially when the past 10 years have been nothing but mostly soulless live-action remakes. So when Wish was first announced, it looks like a breath of fresh air, but now that Disney's newest original movie as a celebration for the 100-year anniversary of Walt Disney Studios has proven to be a disaster in every single way, it's clear that people were actually craving for more than just an animated movie in itself. When people were saying that they wanted animated movies like the classic ones, they were also unawarely wanting what made those old animated movies great: good storytelling, well-written characters, beautiful animation, and fantastic songs. And all those things were just not there in Wish. And as long as Disney fails to understand what made its original classic movies great, it will continue to fail.